We need the music. We need the music. We don't have
Okay.
music coming in. We're live now.
With no music.
Damon Pistulka here with Andrew Cross once again on the Exit Your Way Business Roundtable. So today it's just the two of us because Andrew and I were thinking about what the heck could we talk about?
Really, that's not a problem.
That's not a problem. Yeah, that's not a problem. But one thing that we haven't really shared with a lot of people is the why behind Exit Your Way. And I thought more seriously, it is an opportunity for us to talk a little bit about that and kind of, you know, how you and I met, Andrew, many years ago and just kind of stayed in touch and how that works. So yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing. So, you know, for those of you who don't know, Andrew and I worked together, I don't know, it's a long time ago now, over 10 years.
Not 15 years, probably, no?
Yeah, it's close to that. Oh, God, it is, isn't it? Gee, it just gets worse, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's interesting is, you know, we got to work together a long time ago. We stayed in touch, and quite after that, you started a business brokerage, and you were selling businesses, and I was off doing other things, and in 2015 we came back together after we stayed in touch, looked at deals, did a bunch of stuff, you know, here and there. And then in 2015, you were going to be moving to Park City, and we decided to get together, and I was going to be in Seattle and you were going to be in Park City and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Damon and I were, you know, working for manufacturing companies.
Yeah.
Mostly. That was our focus. And we were in the trenches with small businesses. And our last gig that we worked on together it was during the last Great Recession and pullback.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty tough situation.
I forget about that, honestly, that it was in 2008 and 9, right? And in the worst part of it.
Yeah. It was just starting to happen.
Yeah.
It was really hitting.
Yeah, it was. And
anyways, I am getting a little feedback. Do you hear that too?
No, I do not.
Okay. But that's okay. Hopefully it doesn't bother anybody there. But but you know, tough times for tough people, you know, it's kind of like, it's really where you get to know somebody. And we got through both of that, and you know, we both moved on. Damon's a turnaround guy and works in particularly in those situations. You know, that was his business, and it was impressive. You know, we worked hard together for about a year and a half. I think we were hip to hip on that one. And after that got done, you know, I got out of it first and he got out of second, and you know, it was just messy. But we it was, we both you know, it took about 6 months, I think, to decompress and figure out what to do next, at least in my case. And I started, you know, a business brokerage business. Well, just a one-man, you know, solo operation. I didn't really think the model of business brokerage, which is somewhat similar to a real estate operation with associates and principal brokers and such. So that was a little more unique based on my background and experience of working with clients, you know, more boutique, I would guess you could call it. And one of the things about, you know, I got into it and learned how to be a business broker. Back then, there were no deals going on. The banks were all locked up. It was a lot of people in M&A or in brokerage that were getting out of the business. And I think for me, fortunately, I didn't know what it was like before. And we could make a lot of deals. And I started with small deals and working on Main Street ones, because that's the only place you could get something done.
Yeah.
You know, those are, you know, you don't necessarily need banks, and you could seller finance. And there was a lot of activity, and I learned a lot doing that.
Yeah.
You know, and then Exit Your Way really evolved, you know, later on after that, after doing years and years of deals. And some of the lessons I learned doing that, we decided to change it up a lot.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then in my experience running the companies for the investors and private equity groups, we typically did bigger deals when we were doing them. So, I think even the smallest deal we did was, $20 million or something like that. And I actually worked on the funding side of some deals and raising money for things that, in the 50 and $100 million range. So it's, you get a pretty wide range of experience when you combine the two of us together and what we've done as far as, you've done a tremendous amount of sales work, and I've done a lot of operational work and just general management of companies. So, and when it came together, and we were in 2015, we were selling businesses. I mean, that's all we did was sell businesses at that point.
Yep.
And I still remember when it wasn't too long down the road, and as you said, and I'll let you say what is the normal process if you're an investment banker or business broker and you talk to a business owner about their value?
Yeah. I mean, and this is brokerage 101. You can get the playbook out and do it, and they're really focused on just getting a transaction done. And that was what was a little different about our approach, was that because of our background in operations and running companies, we could add a little more to it than that. But most brokers, they just want, really it's more of a financial exercise in how the numbers look and add it up and sell it. There's not a lot of input into adding value to the company, or they really can't, anyways. And we were in that situation. But it's funny, Damon and I crossed paths and started, it was like we've done deals, but we've been on the other side, working for big companies and operating and being operators in those companies. And so he was, he knew enough about it, but he was like, I want to get more involved in the deal side, as well as the operation side. So we did. And I said, well, this is how you be a broker. And we went out and we started talking to clients, and this is a very important thing in the broker world. Is it's a very the product, the business is very price sensitive, and if you come into a client, it's very important for a broker to know what the buyer thinks he can get for the business, what he wants for the business. Because we are trained as brokers to we can understand and get a valuation going and understand where the business probably will sell for.
Yes.
And if that is too far apart, if it's worth $5 million by our analysis, and the seller wants $10 million, we work on commission. Brokers work on commission. And it takes a year to sell a company. It's a lot of work. You're not going to put in all that work if there's no chance it's going to get sold, because you don't meet the expectations. And I call it the value gap. And in the broker world, that is move on. They're not ready to sell yet. Wait until either they come around and understand it. Wait till they have a bad day. Time's more on the broker side. And eventually, you may not get that accountant, which is fine. But if they come around to reality, I guess you would say. That's kind of harsh, but I think what the brokers do is, and while we were out there getting new clients, and some we found, and others I told Damon, forget it. We're never going to be able to sell that company. His expectations, it's impossible to meet it. Let's just move on, and we'll find someone who's ready to sell. And Damon was like, why? Why do we have to keep doing that? Why can't we help them?
Yeah.
That's really where it started. It's like, if they want 10 million, let's help them build a company and sell it for 10 million.
Yeah.
That's exit your way. Because his perspective was, I go and fix companies. What I've been paid for my whole career, I've done this, and I've built companies up and sold them. And, now we can give an opportunity to somebody to help them. And wow, the light bulb just went off. That's exit your way. It's not business brokerage. It's different than an investment banker. Yes, we're focused around the transaction, but we're really focused around getting the client what he wants or needs from that transaction.
Yeah. And that's what makes me happy, when we can do that with a business owner, and you want to know why I do it, why I think you do it, is because we really help them create the exit they want and get them point they want, rather than having them settle for what they can get. And that's for me, that's why it is. And as you said, that's what we knew how to do, is grow businesses and make them run well. And it's really the foundation behind what we started then.
Yeah, it's really a matter of putting the pieces together too, because it was just my experience that having gone through deals, successful or not successful, and seeing how it works on the other side, then you get to know what an impact you can have by just getting in and putting some elbow grease on the company. Either if it's, and a lot of these companies are good companies.
Oh yes.
They're just, but this isn't about selling a good company. This is about getting a premium.
Yeah.
And you want to get a premium, then there's ways to do that. If you've been through it and you see what the buyers see, then you know what to work on. And, and then it was really just about, and I already knew with Damon, I already knew the people who could make that kind of stuff happen in the company.
Mm-hmm.
And in a relatively short period of time, so there's a lot about exit your way too, is, hey, if you're thinking this is going to happen in the next 5 years, that's why. You can just kind of keep doing what you're doing and say it's time to sell, and it'll take a year and you'll get what you get. Or you start thinking about it, okay, first step, I'm going to figure out where I'm at. This is what I'm worth. And now I want to figure out where I want to be.
Yeah.
And then we'll hit it, and get some help doing it. We got some, and Exit Your Way has grown now out from Damon and I.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, the professionals that we have at our that are helping us now are, hell, they're way better than I ever would be at a lot of things. And that's for sure. And that's what really makes us strong, is that it's not just you and I, it's a team approach. We have people that are specialists in sales. We have specialists that are people in social media. We have specialists in, e-commerce. We have specialists in manufacturing e-commerce and finance and financial planning, because, as soon as we started, we realized that most business owners don't understand how much money they really need, because they can have a great business that's giving them $500,000 a year. And they don't really understand how much it takes after they're done with their business to sustain that lifestyle. And
lifestyle too. And it's even further than that. I mean, with some of the business coaches that we're working with, phenomenal business coaches, they're working with entrepreneurs and business owners. They're in their heads.
Yeah.
And really understanding, because it is there. You need to do that. You need to go to that level to really understand what is it you want to do. The money's one aspect of it, and will there be enough? But it's, at the end of the day, it's not the money, it's what you do with the money. The money gives you the freedom to do what you want.
Yeah.
So, and you have to really get in with the business owner. And the reason we like to do that is because it does take a significant investment in our team and our time to get this deal done. And we should darn well want to know that they know what they want to do and don't get cold feet at the end.
Yeah. Or even just with the questions that they have, just with the questions they have is another thing. It's
it's just such a hard transition. And I really sympathize with the business owner, but I think we're doing really good work, because a lot of businesses, they don't make it. They don't make it through these transitions. They may even get sold and still don't make it. Either the new ownership or the transition, and that's all lack of preparation, lack of preparing. And I think it matters a lot to the business owner, that their legacy's then destroyed. The thing they've worked on for 20 years has faded away. Their employees, and sometimes it's their family, are out of work, so all these things are on the line when we go. So it's really cool to be able to, to really make a successful transaction and transition, what that means, or exit, because that means it's a company that's going on and it's going to do it again for the next 10 to 15, 20 years after you left.
It really is. It really is, as you said, what we're doing is we're helping to ensure their legacy, and part of their legacy is leaving like they want. And for people that don't understand, only about 20% of the businesses ever get sold. Most of them actually they just stop, liquidation, whatever you want to call it, just cease to exist over time. And really what we do is create businesses that are, first of all, valuable enough and attractive enough to be sold.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I think what for us, the light bulb goes on with our clients is once they realize that, wow, I have a great business here, but today it's not worth anything when you look at it from the outside, or somebody wouldn't buy it because the risk is too high from the outside, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I think business owners, I mean, a lot of them who have really, I think, good companies that are valuable don't honestly believe they don't understand what the valuation is. They just know, oh, it makes me X amount of money per month, and that pays for my kids' tuition, got them through school, it pays my vacation home. I throw a little bit in my 401k, and they figure when I'm 65, that's the time to stop. And and I'll stop. And they don't think about selling the company or have a target for it or say what I'm going to do with that money after I retire, because your life doesn't end then.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing about it too is, and I think we're trying really, really, really hard to educate owners and business owners to really understand that's not the way. You don't have to do it that way, and you're lucky if it works that way, because you don't always get to pick the best time to sell your company. And I think we can specifically talk to folks who should have sold the end of last year and are going, oh my, I should have sold my company the end of last year. And everybody knows what happened in the first quarter of 2020 with COVID. So, things just change. And what you should be doing is, like any other great investment that you have, be disciplined in your investing approach, build it up to your sell point, sell it. And what you want to do with the money after that.
That is one of the things that, around why we do what we do is really, we're creating that goal, whatever that goal is, 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, really doesn't matter. But you got that goal, and your trigger point is not so much I'm turning 65, but it's I've hit my goal. And helping people understand, okay, what that means is that the business will be sold, and then they've got more to do, because this is just propelling them for whatever they want to do after that. And that's even more fun sometimes, is to go to see them understand what they are going to be able to do then. And this is just a stepping stone to do that, rather than fading off in the sunset.
And it's good work. And I want to bring back and focus on now what Exit Your Way has evolved to is that's the why it happened. And it started with Damon and I, and Jeff Graham came in as a partner, and we grew out and this is a fun part of the business too, is we have been in search of and have worked with some of the best people in the business. These people, and they all do different things, but they all do one thing in common. They all improve companies, and we know who they are, and we apply them, and they are resources in various disciplines that are now, that's a bench. We have our bench we can call on to go to work on a company and bring exponential value to the client on an exit. And they don't have to go around and with trial and error and find good people or bad people. These people are proven, and it's
and it's funny you say that, because it's people probably think we're kind of crazy the way that we network and the way that we do the things we do. But it's to find these professionals and to understand who really is the cream of the crop to do this specific thing for a company, because we need the best in the that we can find to do those things and to help our clients. People who improve companies, but this is also this is a program, and Exit Your Way is a process that puts instant momentum into a company. And the reason we do that, and we don't have to do it for years and years and years. Once momentum is momentum, if it's going, buyers love that. That's all I know. It's it's so much easier for me to sell a business if it's got momentum. Which is like anything. You look at a hot team in sports. Hot team in sports. It's hard to beat a hot team in sports when they're, you know,
in last place to the playoffs. But when the playoffs start, everybody's at 500. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
0 and
exactly.
Yeah.
But as you talked, it is a process. I mean, if you look back at some of the things that we do, the fundamentals that we use, I mean, you can read about things like traction and EOS, and those are some of the principles that we used. And honestly, a lot of them came from the private equity investment company world years ago, when we, you know, those companies, you're used to having board meetings and weekly KPIs and projections that you had to do every year.
And accountability.
Yeah. Accountability to meet the projections.
Yeah.
And those kind of things that a lot of private companies don't have, but as they make that transition into being sold, need to have, because buyers want to have a little bit of predictability in what they're buying.
Well, not every buyer, but typically the buyers are never really accountable to anybody.
Yeah.
So it's a very foreign concept to them.
Yeah.
And it's not about being accountable to your investors, although that'll happen, that they're on their way out. But your organization has to be, if you want to do it right, you have to be accountable to the deal. And if you're being accountable to the deal, that's really being accountable to the buyer. And the buyer is the customer.
Yeah, that's another thing that we start out with right away, is they're your ultimate customer.
Yeah.
You know, you've got customers that you sell to every day, but your ultimate customer is the buyer of your business.
Exactly right. And they've been in business maybe 15 or 20, 25 years, and all their customers in their heads, they're selling their product or services to their customer, and never thought about the buyer as a customer. So that's a different way to look at it. So when you do that, though, you start to understand too what they're looking for and what's a value driver and where the risks are. And that's when you build a company that mitigates those risks, because they're going to do it after they buy the company, and they'll put all those same pieces in place. So at least they're going to try.
Yeah.
And again, that's another place where deals are unsuccessful. They die in that transition, that after the deal's done, to the new ownership and their management team. And a lot of companies cannot survive that.
Yeah.
And that's why you hear a lot of bad stories about private equity groups and transitions going bad and everything else. And really in that place, it's, private equity is the bad guy. They're not the good guy, but a lot of it is just, it's lack of preparation and not really understanding the softer risk factors involved, especially with people that are involved in transition.
Yeah. Joseph Stepke's on Facebook here with a couple of good comments. He says, I think all owners need to think about their legacy of their business, and are they going to give it to their children or sell it? And I think that's really none of us want to think about it, right? Let's just throw it right out there. Hell, I'm not young enough. We got to think about this. We're the age we have to be thinking about this stuff, right? What are you going to do after you want to quit work or can't work anymore? And you really need to think about what your legacy is going to be as a business owner, not just, hey, I made it through another month, or I'll do that in a few years, because what happens, as we all know, time speeds up. It speeds up.
It does. And the light bulb that goes off though too. And I've had this happen. And I've worked with a company and helped reposition them, and consulted with them in depth for a significant amount of time to get them saleable, even just to get the deal done, or in a better position to get, more money for it. And, so after working with them 6-7 months, and we changed some things, and we brought in, different managers, whatever it takes, to address some of the we're staging, getting ready for the sale. And at the end, I've had the buyers say over and over again, gosh, I wish we just had done this, worked with you guys, 10 years ago. They should have been doing it all along, right? But that's small business, no accountability, and you're doing fine. There's nothing wrong with it. You get what you want out of the business. But there's complacency, and things are okay. But at the end, you don't realize till it's too late. I didn't really get what I wanted out of the business.
Yeah. Well, and that's especially, you talk about two things. One is complacency, and it's natural as you get more comfortable in your business, and as say you start a business in your 30s or 40s, and you're growing that business, and so you think about your business and your life. You're trying to grow that business to the point that it's going to, first of all, replace a paycheck. B, then my kids are getting older now. If you've got kids or you've got other interests like that, I need to buy a boat. I got to buy my house. I got to put my kids through college. I need a lot of money, right? And then you get into that stage where now what happens? The kids are out of college. They go get their own jobs. I don't need as much money anymore. So what a lot of business owners do is they coast. They coast because they don't have to. And the business sits there, and it might be generating a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is they don't need to grow. They've got enough, at least as far as they're concerned. And growth is risky. That hard charging growth, that's risk into itself. And also when you're growing like that, you lose control.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thing. You lose control, you got some risk. You could make a bad misstep. I like the analogy. It's like the racehorse. You just at a certain point, you've won enough races, you just start pulling on the reins.
Yeah. And that's a great point, because what happens is at that point, it would be, and a lot of business owners, if they grew to maybe a little bit bigger than where they're at that point, and then sold their business, they would be in a much better position than running it for another 5, 10, 15 years, lumping along. And what we often see is that it goes down a little bit, goes down a little bit more, declining revenues, because it's not really, the drive's not there to reinvest or be aggressive on sales.
Well, business owners get tired, especially near the end, and they've already probably waited too long, and they take their foot off the gas at the end. That is just, from a deal perspective, it's just very hard to get a deal done. I mean, you can smell that on somebody when you walk in the door, that it is not going in the right direction. It's very hard to sell a company like that. Fortunately, that's another thing where I would, in the old day, just being a broker, I would walk in and go, I'm not going to take on this assignment because, this thing's going down. And, so you have to, because you can only take on so many clients as a consultant. And the exit your way, it's like, we walk into a situation like that. It's like, okay, let's sit down and see how we can fix that problem. You get out of this and, finish strong.
That's what we say. We want to finish strong. You want to go out on top. Top. There's no reason it has to be like that. I mean, if you could grow your business once and you're in an industry that's still got demand, there's no reason that you have to do it that way.
Well, it is, also, you're not alone. That's the other thing. And business owners do tend to get into the mentality where, and they've operated alone for the most part. It's a pretty lonely existence. Being a business owner, I get it. They're a paranoid, fearful creature, the business owner. Everybody's taking stuff from him: employees, lawyers, taxes, you name it. It seems like it's coming from all sides. It's tough to be successful in business. I get it, but you don't have to do that. That's what exit your way is all about. Right. And when we talk about that, if we can find the business owner who will go, okay, I'll let go and and see if I can get my people to run. You'd be amazed at the results.
Yeah. And it is it's pretty exciting when they do. You see these little wins that build upon each other. We just start with little wins and keep building upon them. And the next thing you know, you've made big steps, like in anything, and you just keep going. And it really is, when they create that legacy and they're able to get out of the business like they want, that is really the ultimate satisfaction.
Yeah, there's more puff in their chest. Like, and it's, that's, the check is great, and the money, they can do what they want, but man, wow, I built that. And
I mean, you can imagine them, right? Because I like to imagine the business owners after they sell, and they're sitting there, they're with their friends, they're off on vacation somewhere, or they're just sitting having dinner with somebody and say, oh yeah, I sold my business, and they can just chuckle because they know they've got the money. They got the money they wanted, and they're good because we put them in touch with the right financial people. They know their financial plan going forward. They they know their business is in as good a hands as it can be, and that they went out the best way they could, and for not just for them, for their employees too.
Yeah.
And that's a real concern because they've probably, these people have been with them a long time.
And a lot of it, it's family to them. It's, spend a lot of time with those people. They care.
Yeah.
I haven't really met one that didn't, you get employees in that, but for the most part, every business owner I've talked to, it's one of the number one reasons they want to make sure it gets sold right is so their people are taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah. But it sure is a lot of fun. And when we get to do it, it's a real honor and just so satisfying when we can see them be successful.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. It's definitely, we're doing a lot of good.
So a couple things though, while we're here, if there's somebody watching and they're going, oh, I'm thinking about selling my business, what are a couple things that they should be thinking about when they're talking to somebody that could be potentially selling their business? If they're out there talking to different people, do you just go through the phone book? Is there places that they should be looking? What are some of the questions they ask? And I don't want to get into a deep subject, but if there's a couple nuggets that you can leave somebody with, and we didn't talk about this beforehand. I'm just springing it on Andrew. So this is live. And I don't know.
I think that it's a very difficult thing because there is, and we talked about this a little bit in our roundtable and with some of our folks recently, it's come up quite a bit. But, this is why I like small businesses. It's the engine of our economy.
Yeah.
49% of our GDP is produced by privately held lower middle market companies. All the rest of it is then the Ford Motor companies, the Boeings, and the publicly traded the stock market companies. That's only the other half. They don't create jobs. They don't get innovation. All that comes from all the entrepreneurs who start out on their own and build companies and build value. So it's really cool. And but they're privately held. And when you go to sell a company, confidentiality is, one of the number one things. They don't want anybody to know. It's not like buying a house. You can't go and make comps because they don't have to legally report, what the business sold for. It's not there. Tax returns are not available. It's just kind of like, the broker world has kind of a tap in to at least some data on how business are sold, but a lot of people have to learn how to do it. I love to teach you how to buy a business, teach you how to sell a business as much as possible because it's a tough process to go through because it's not highly regulated. You're kind of on your own to do it. You want to keep it confidential and you don't have anything else to compare it to. So you got to find experienced people. But I think really at the beginning, especially if you're early in your business cycle, get a valuation from a good person. At least figure out what your business is worth today. It's a good starting point. Know where you are, and then make a plan. I've got into companies that have 50 employees and over 100 million in sales and have been going around for the last 20 years and they don't have projections. Yeah. They don't really know. It's just in the owner's head. Oh yeah, well, we'll probably do this much this month, but it's really, for them, it's just month to month. And we're going to sell everything, we can by the end of the month. And then we count the beans and see how we did. But if I ask them how what are you going to be doing in 6 months? What are you going to do by year end? What are you going to do, for the next 5 years? What's your growth rate?
Yeah.
After they can't see 3 months ahead of them, and figure that out. Not only figure it out, track it, project, practice it, learn where your value is now. Go forward and reassess it on a regular basis, every 6 months, at least annually, and look how you did and see how you're going to do for the next year. That's how you would do it with an investment. That's my number one thing is know where you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's that same person that has $100 million business they could be sitting there knowing that tomorrow's going to be just fine and everything like that, and not have projections. The business could be totally dependent on them. But when they go to sell that company, it's worthless in the market because it's all in their head and it can't be transferred. And the risk of someone buying that, no matter the profitability, is just too high.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
They just really, I can't underestimate or underemphasize or overemphasize, whatever, emphasize enough the fact that a business owner needs to look at it from an outside perspective, because the people that are going to be buying your business do not understand your business as well as you do. And you've taken years to get that understanding.
Yeah.
And they've got 90 days maybe to make the decision they want to buy it, tell you how much they're going to buy it for, do all of their diligence, and then they're going to put themselves on the hook for millions of dollars.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, tribal knowledge is what that is, and it's in the owner's head, and it walks out the door the minute the deal's closed.
Yeah.
Buyers look at that. If they see tribal knowledge, they don't see established processes, they don't see something they can plug and play. They run like a scalded cat.
Yep. Yep, exactly.
And it still could be a great company fundamentally. And you just got to fix that if you intend to sell it all, or you can just liquidate.
Yeah. Well, that's if they're, one other thing is people should understand that liquidating their company is not necessarily the worst thing. If that's what they want to do, if that's the right path for them for whatever reason,
depends on the situation, of course. But certain circumstances, but liquidations usually, though, when you're in trouble, there's trouble, or something's not right. And that's okay. It's appropriate on some occasions, and it is one way out. But the only good way to sell a business is to sell it. All the other ways, just going liquidation, declining sales, divorce, dissolution, all those are bad reasons to sell your company. Burnout, you want to, that's the finishing strong. It's in your head, and you just got to, if you want to be successful and have a legacy, you've got to get a company up there and it takes effort. It's hard work, but it can be done.
Yeah. Yeah. Joseph asked us a question here. He said, does exit your way help when businesses are being bought by bigger companies? Sure we do. That's usually what we are doing. In fact, it's the
American dream.
Yeah. Strategic acquisition. And that's
KPMG's ready. They can buy exit your way.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're positioning for, and we do have our time frame and our number figured out. If anyone really wants to know, we've talked about that plenty of times, and that's why we work like there's no tomorrow. But you really, I mean, in any business, that's something that you talk with us anytime. We'll spend hours on that to educate you why that should be. But yes, that's called a strategic acquisition, Joseph, and we certainly do help help people do that, because there's two things in a strategic acquisition. Some people, it could be a bigger competitor, it could be somebody that's not a competitor but wants to get in your market, and you really need to understand that, because the fallacy that a lot of business owners get in is that I've got this great competitor down the street and I'm going to sell my business to them. And they think that that's just going to be one day that I'm going to be able to call Andrew up, my competitor, and say, hey, Andrew, you want to buy my business? And tell me about how that usually ends, Andrew.
Usually nothing happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens a lot. And I have buyers who say, well, so-and-so down the road has been talking to me about buying. He's been saying he wants to buy it for years. And I'm like, okay, but you have to do the process. They're not compelled to do it. And most of the time they just really want to see what you're up to. They're competitors for the most part, or curious. And yes. And the only way to get them to buy and to strike out is if, very rarely are the there are very, very smart buyers that will run out of the pack and go and do a deal, but they're rare. The rest of them have to be in the pack. We have to have it on the market, and we have to have 4 or 5 other people also looking at the company, because once they realize, oh my God, I don't want so-and-so buying this company, and now I've got a new competitor who's younger and more well-capitalized, and then maybe that guy will buy the company, but he's not compelled to do it just by doing it on his own. And so you've got to go through the process. They have to be treated just like any other buyer. Same thing when you sell it to family members.
That's so many competitors. There has to be an incentive for them to move forward, or a consequence if they don't. Really, more than anything, it's got to be a consequence if they don't.
What's the real art to selling to strategics, though? Is what's the benefit? Is you can get a stupid price from a strategic because they need to have you. There's something in there. There's a synergy, or something that they need that will save them a lot of money by buying you, rather than having to build it themselves. And
whatever it is,
but the problem is they don't volunteer that information.
Yeah,
you got money for sale, but you have to have in the deal side, you have to be smart enough and have enough business experience to look into that company and identify the synergy, so that you can actually negotiate some of that synergy and some of that money in the price for your client. So it's really important, and you can't do that if unless you have experience. That's why Exit Your Way is very strong on that, because we're all operators. We know what they're doing. We know why they buy this company, and even if it's a massive company. And we just had that, happen for a very small electrical contracting business. It got bought up by a good size full GC and
regional firm.
They needed, these guys had specific skills in the certain type of electrical and a territory. They didn't need revenue. They needed those. They needed that. They needed the employees and the licenses and where they were working. And we knew it, and we got more money than we could have gotten anywhere else.
Yeah, definitely. So that's a great question, Joseph. It was a little longer answer maybe than you were prepared for, but it is something we get a lot. And honestly, we talk with a lot of business owners, and we end up saying yes, go try to go sell to your competitor, because they think they can do it themselves. And you need to let people understand and find out on their own. And we encourage them to do that. And
if they can get a deal done by themselves, like right out the gate like that, without brokers, great. They absolutely should. With the only risk they take is they might be leaving money on the table because you haven't tested the market. But if they're happy with the price, do it all day long.
Yeah, if you can get a deal done, do it. If you're happy with the price,
if you're happy with what you're getting,
do it. Don't wait for anybody. Don't get a broker. Don't nothing. If you can
get your lawyer, write it up, do it.
Don't talk to us. Don't nothing, because that's how hard it is to sell a business. Because if you can get the money you want and you need, and you're gonna get it, go do it. Don't wait. Don't pause. Do not pass go.
Yeah. Well, that's so true too, because those offers come along, but they don't stick around. And, it might be there now, but 2 years from now, if you decided to hold on a little longer, they're long, chances are they'll be long gone and you're back to square one. So strike while the iron's hot and get it done.
Yep. That's for sure. Joseph said we did a good job of explaining it. So that's nice. Good. But anyway, it's been, this is, I mean, we could talk about this stuff forever, honestly, because we do realistically, that's what we do. We talk about different businesses and our clients all day long.
Yeah. Well, I think too, and that was the thing, is Exit Your Way. We merged away from, we're an evolution out of brokerage into something different.
Yeah.
And I, the only thing I could say is, any business owner out there, I don't care what we're happy to talk with you about what's ahead, no matter what stage. Even if you opened your doors yesterday, start, we'll help educate, because that just helps everybody get, that helps to get deals done. Everybody's happy. Knowledge is power, and we're happy to share. It doesn't cost anything. You can meet with us anytime. We love to learn about entrepreneurs and what they're up to. Yeah, that's just that's just an aside, and we're happy to share what we know. how you build a company is sell it.
Yeah. And that's what another thing I realize we haven't even said it all during this is we do a la carte services too. I mean, we don't just sell a company. Sometimes we're only selling a company. Sometimes we're doing sales only. Sometimes we're doing some sort of accounting work that we've got to oversee and do, or set up a board, or interim roles that we'll have somebody do with our guidance. And there's all different kinds of things that we're doing for clients, and everybody's going to exit sometime, and that's why we help them.
Yeah, it's building companies, and we're our a la carte services do that. We're particularly focused in sales and outsourced sales and sales consulting work. That's really the starting point and the lifeblood of all businesses. So we like working in that space. But
and we focus on sales because that's what drives value the fastest.
Sales, yes, you have to do both. But sales solves problems.
Yeah. Jeff Graham, sales solves problems. Said that many times and done it many times. So
how I sell.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, thanks a lot. It's been fun, and we're just happy to be able to talk a little bit about why we do what we do, and thanks a lot, Joseph, for the questions and stuff. And if anyone has questions, you can get a hold of us on LinkedIn or on our exityourway.us. You can find us there, and you'll get a hold of us. We're around.
We are around.
Yeah, we are around. Well, thanks.
We're in Salt Lake City. We're in Seattle. We're in Los Angeles.
We're in Denver.
And we're in Chicago yet. We're almost there.
Yeah, we're almost in Chicago, but we're in Cleveland, and
really we work with clients all over the country.
Yeah. We actually have clients all over, and even one client in Puerto Rico now. So and the last business that we sold, the client was actually in South Africa. So it's the virtual thing is not new to us. So great. Well, until next time, people, thanks a lot. Have a great rest of your week. This is Thursday. You still got another day to make it happen. So go out and do it.
Right on.
All right. Bye.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.